So, introductions made. One thing I'm going to ask you. I do work for Microsoft. I'm not speaking by Microsoft today, okay? Actually, some of the things could probably get me fired. So, I refuse that in here, okay? Just also showed the pictures, you know, who I am. I don't have pictures. I'm mostly a fuck up, so I like to fuck up. I failed twice in high school. I failed twice, no, 3 times in college. But I had loads and loads of fun. And guess what? I was the best student in college. Fiel, which is around the corner. Best computer engineering student. And in companies I've worked with, I've also fucked up a lot of companies actually. I had some ex-colleagues here. More than once, I was rated top performer. So what does that mean? Nothing. Okay. There is a recent, something that happened recently. I worked for Microsoft for about a year. And I had my evaluation recently, and I was like, hey, it's going to be, you know, if we're going to make it 0 100, it's going to be around 70, 75. And I got the evaluation, it was 130. So I exceeded by far what was expected. Then something happened. I got the evaluation, I came home, told my wife, you know, woohoo! 2 days later, I was like, so now what? I was feeling incredibly shit. I said, yeah, so what's next? You know, it's going to be the same this year. So what's next? And one of the things I've been studying for the last around 7 years is why humans behave the way they behave. And I did what is considered the best personal development course, which is Tony Robbins' Simply Love. I had personal coaches, I had loads of training on that. But I also was very, I watched closely and I experimented a lot in teams that I led. Okay. And it's amazing. I think humans have the ability to be incredible, incredibly good, and incredibly stupid. So, in the same day, the same guy. So this is what I'm going to talk to you about today. And my goal with this talk, it should be interactive. Actually, there's not many slides, because this is not going to be a slide-based session. Is that you tomorrow? Whoever, before we get there, whoever had a situation at work that they wished they had behaved differently. Yeah. 2 things we're going to learn today. Why you behaved like you behave, and what can you do to never do it again. Okay, sounds fun? The next one is Macarena. Okay. So, most of this is true. Maybe I wasn't born in lady. Who knows this one? This is an Agile community, right? Okay. So this is, there's a book by Patrick Lencioni called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And for me, it's like the Bible of team management, or team leadership, which is kind of. And this is the dysfunctions that a team has to overcome to become a highly performing team. The first one is the absence of trust. Can you raise your arm if you work in a company where you feel safe to say whatever it is to whoever it is? Interesting. So keep those hands up. You, what's your name?
Joaquim Batista.
Joaquim. Okay. Do you have a boss, manager, or someone above you? Yes. Can you go to your manager tomorrow and say, sorry, I'm late. I was just having sex and it was amazing.
I always would, yes.
Okay. Let's take it up a notch. I won't. My point is, there's going to be a threshold, right?
Yeah, okay, of course.
And by the way, most people will not see that. Probably your boss will just say, yeah, you look like, yeah. If we, and then Shani says this, if most of the companies cannot even go beyond this one, because humans do not trust each other by default. Imagine, and I did this experience recently, if you walk on the streets and someone, you don't know him, comes to you and says, you're just the most insanely stupid person I've seen today. How do you react?
Offer a meeting?
Who thinks will get offended and probably start a conflict? Or better yet, you're with your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, and someone comes close to you on the street and says, what a nice piece of ass.
To me, it's my girlfriend.
If you're called Cesar, it's to you, because your ass is just amazing. Anyone, what's your reaction?
Confront him. I will confront and insult him.
So I would say let's get away from that.
Why?
I don't need protection. I would literally like.
I'm not talking about protection.
I like conflict as well. So it's an opportunity for me.
See, it's step 2. So it's confront, right? Why?
I enjoy it.
Because it hurts our ego. Because we don't feel safe, right? But for communication to exist, there needs to be two person, not just one. So you could just ignore it. Or better yet, you could actually respond with empathy and love. And say, my friend, who are you? Right? But we don't do that. And it's exactly the same in companies. We don't feel safe enough to speak. One of the things I do, and I'm super grateful for that, is I work with partners across Europe, from big corporations to startups. And it's amazing to see in some places, in partners and in their customers, when teams say, yeah, we know, we're super agile. This is like, yeah, top notch. Yeah, flat hierarchies, everyone speaks their minds, stuff like that. And then you go on a retrospective, and the CEO is there. Who, by the way, people don't like him that much. Will people tell him, I don't really like you that much?
Would you say that director?
Not really.
Not the retro, some meeting.
It's still like a personal attack. Like, where would you personally
Why is it
attack
a personal attack?
I don't like you.
It's only an attack if I get offended, but yeah.
But you can apply also that to behavior. I think if say, for instance, I don't like the fact that the CEO keeps trying to put features on the product just because he thinks they are good.
Then I think it's very legitimate.
And they
to
won't say that if the CEO isn't
Yeah.
happy.
Precisely.
But then I think you should say, for sure.
You should.
I'm not sure about saying something
100%.
that's not concerned.
You should. Okay, but we don't. So, why? We'll see in about 5 minutes. This is one of the things we're going to talk about. Second thing, I was just talking about the evaluation. It's like, ooh, top performer, ooh, all cool. 2 days later, I was feeling like shit. Okay. Now I'm on parental leave, so I'm just resting. But I love working there, so don't get me wrong. Do you know this guy?
Yeah.
Why do people who are super successful kill themselves?
Kill themselves.
Why do people who are super successful kill themselves?
It's because they don't feel understood.
Probably. I mean, who's going to understand some humans, right? Like, more than 50% of Americans anyway.
They definitely should be
When, we are,
successful.
when you are super focused in reaching a goal, after it's just a huge black hole. So you don't have anything afterwards. So
Okay.
your life, you reach your peak, game over.
No,
that
or maybe they have to do something because they already were not feeling very well before. So they try to perform extra well. That's why they're really good at what they do. Doesn't necessarily have to.
They're really good at what they do, either because they have incredible talent or they just practice it. You know, the reason why they're good at what they do, it's not relevant here.
We're all displaying the
There is
They
a
are
difference.
seeking something.
You were almost there.
Some of them also very successful because they are focused up as well. That
Yeah.
driven by
and
insecurity.
so they are like super weird and extreme and like, and then in the end they just
Yeah. I mean,
quite fucking it up.
the definition of weird, I've done
Yeah.
some really weird things in my life.
I'm not saying weird is bad. Actually, they are super successful, so
Yeah.
that would help them in being successful.
Let me ask you a question. Why we have the Forbes top 30 or something like that, right? Top richest 30 richest people in the world. I was hearing a podcast, I think it was Tim Ferriss, I'm pretty sure, where someone said, why don't we have a top 30 happiest person in the world? Because the list would be very different, right? So one of the things I've seen, and this makes perfect sense, is success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Okay? And this is why they kill themselves. Because you reach a point where you think, I'm super successful, I have lots of money, I can do whatever I want, I have a family, I blah, 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 but that doesn't fulfill you.
Let me just interrupt you and say that you are ignoring mental illness because
Okay, yeah.
there are billions of people in the world, but very few of them actually commit suicide. And most of the times it's a mental condition. It's ignored.
Yeah, you're right, but my definition of mental condition, and I have several doctors, psychiatrists in the family, is a bit, it's not a common, okay? So, let's So Tony Robbins, he studied about 50 million people, and he coached people like, when what's his name? Bill Clinton. When there was that thing with Monica Lewinsky, Tony was the guy that Bill asked help for. He coached Princess Diana, Dalai Lama, people like that. So I thought, if I'm going to learn from someone, it's going to be with Tony Robbins. Okay? And he has this thing called the 6 human needs. And before I tell you what they are, let me just tell you something. If you get this under your skin, and you start watching how people behave in your daily life, not just in work but at home, it's awful. Because your wife or your husband or someone does something, and in your head it's like, oh, Jesus, you know, there's the need that is put in first. So you start putting people in buckets. That's the bad part. The good part is that you now know how to handle them. So let's see which ones they are. The first one is certainty. The human being has a tremendous need of being right. Of knowing that they're going to get a paycheck. Of knowing that they're going to be secure. This is the number one need. Certainty. Number two, uncertainty. Because if you think a life of certainty, it's got to be the most boring stuff. Because there's no spiciness, right? So I'm going to pause. I remember I worked at Full 6 in 2007 or 8. And Tiago was the CTO at the time, and he comes to me and says, you're going to start managing projects. Let me tell you something. I'm not a detail-oriented guy. I get bored like this. Okay? So picture me managing projects. Not Scrum, not Agile. No, here's the Gantt chart. I think I lasted like 1 month, 2 months, and I said, look, for fuck's sake, you know. And the reason is, at the time, my needs for variety were very, very high. I was playing in one of Portugal's most well-known bands. So my life was filled with variety by 2008. In all kinds of things. By the way, the quality of someone's life is the amount of uncertainty that they can tolerate. People who want to feel in control, no more beer, want to feel in control of everything. Two things happen. Their life usually sucks because they cannot control everything. Second, and I got told this by a very spiritual doctor, usually they get AVC, what's it called? Stroke. Yeah. Significance, my favorite. I think 99% of the humans. Significance is our need to feel special. I'm better than anyone else. I'm unique. Why does the baby die when he's born and he's not, he doesn't have contact with a human? Most babies die. Because of the need to feel special. By the way, if you ask, when I did UPW was 8,000 people in the room, 90-something%, we had to do this exercise of identifying the top two ones, certainty and significance. Which means 90-something% of the people want to be in control of almost everything and want to feel special and unique. Guess what? You're not going to be in control of most things. And if you always want to be the best one, that's going to be tough. 90% or more of people have certainty and significance as their number one and two. I encourage you to do the exercise at home. By the way, significance, job titles, my favorite. I'm a senior software engineer in test of quality something. What the fuck does that say? Right? Don't quote me on this. At Microsoft, we usually say something like, I'm a CSAP at WEHQ. That stands for Cloud Solution Architect for Partners at Western Europe Headquarters. We have so many acronyms that we have a tool for that. I never said. But people, when you put the senior, when you put the director, when you put the manager, when you put the C something, it's very, people want to do it. It's like, now I'm a director. My life sucks, but I'm a director. There was a friend of mine, he works in Germany, and he called me out of the blue. I haven't seen him, I'm almost 40, I haven't seen him since I was 14. Okay. And one day I got a call, phone number from Germany. It's like, Ricardo, how the fuck are you, man? I'm like, who's this? It's like, Hugo. Hugo what? And I couldn't even remember it. And he was asking some things about his company. I didn't even heard about the name. And I said, so cool, so how are you and the family? And, he says, I don't have time for family now because I'm the director of sales. Okay. Good for you. I'm about to enter paternity leave, 1 month. With my family, so I'm not a director. Thank God. Okay. The thing is, egos, job titles, they make us do really stupid things. And actually, they don't mean jack shit. I know CTOs who kill the 100% of the time and can't even manage themselves, let alone a team. I know developers who are true leaders and could manage a company. Okay? That doesn't mean jack shit. Connection and love. Social media. Woohoo! Fourth human need. Actually, the baby, it's also this one. But everything from religion, don't get me started on religion. Connection, by the way, is not love. So true love is not connection. Sex is not true love. Things like that. But we do have a need for it. So these are the needs of the personality. Each time you do something that fills those 4 needs, you get an addiction. Drugs. Certainty that you're going to get high. Variety, because every high is different. Trust me. That was a long time ago. Significance. And connection. If you talk to someone who does heroin, especially if he does it intravenous, there is an intense feeling of connection in the drug. Okay. However, those 4 do 0 for your fulfillment. The spiritual ones are the ones that fulfill us, and those are growth, because what's not growing is dying. And the other is contribution, okay, giving back. And think about your company. What's your company primary need? There's companies who are here. There's companies who are here. Some are here. Some are here, obviously. If you get these 6 things, it took me more than a year to get really this into my system. If you get these 6 things, your life changes like this. And you can say, from now on, I choose to have these 2 as my primary ones. So whenever I do something that I'm not really proud of, I can think, was I being certainty-driven, significance, growth, contribution? This changes everything. And by the way, I worked in a company called Fiel. Everyone at the internal team had to go through this. So it was very easy for us to speak with each other and say, look, drop the significance. By the way, my current ones are growth and certainty. So the 2 primary fears of people are not being good enough, not being loved. Now, let's get back to that, meeting where the team is together discussing why aren't people more transparent?
They
If
are
I
afraid
say
to generate that people won't like them for being open, and they are afraid that they're going to expose some vulnerability and some lack
Yeah.
of knowledge or something.
That
Yeah.
happens.
I have a colleague. He's a Spanish guy. That's probably. And so Microsoft is very different now from 4 years ago. And there's this guy in Spain in my team. He's like, he has no filters, zero. And he's like a hippie. He builds 60 synthesizers and then makes white noise albums with a friend. I love it. And he's super smart on machine learning, data science stuff. So imagine a guy like this in a company driven by egos. Because he couldn't care less. Like, what does my title say? I don't even know what my title is. I'm just here to do some data science, man. It's like, speaks like this. Okay? I think companies need more people like that, because I remember when I joined, there was someone came to me and says, I was wearing a t-shirt. I don't go to the office much, but I was at the office doing stuff. I was wearing a t-shirt. Someone comes to me in a suit and says, I've known you for a few years. You cannot dress like this. If you wanna progress inside here, you need to dress up. And my reaction was like, what the fuck is this? That now I have my evaluation to prove him wrong. But the thing is, people who couldn't care less about status and ego clash with people who just want career progress, status, C-levels and stuff like that. So put them in a room and it's like, ooh, thank God, things are changing. And I think the Agile mindset is one of the first sparks, was one of the first sparks of that change. So we still have a long way to go. Okay? But these are the primary fears. By the way, that guy, sorry, just to finish. There was a project and everyone said, please don't speak much. So it was new at the company. And he doesn't, and he speaks like hell. And the client was there, and everyone's in suits and stuff, and he goes like wearing a t-shirt, saying something like, suck my dick. and suddenly he starts speaking and everyone's, But he starts speaking and he's incredible in solving the problem that the customer was having. And he solved it. And the same thing happened to me about a month ago, in a t-shirt as well, not saying suck my dick. With a guy in Spain. He's like one of the most well-known IT guys there. And we spent a day together. I was coding side by side with some people on his team, helping them release a project that was already late. In the end, he said, look, you're not going to Portugal, let's have dinner, you can stay at my home. This was like, thank you. People who are not ego-driven, and he's not, couldn't care less about the way you dress, as long as you deliver value. There is a talk on TED about this that we just spoke about. So the last thing, I think we are over time, right? No? Okay. Last thing I want to talk to you about is the fur agreements. This was the biggest life changer I've ever had. Because my background, before we go on the fur agreements, I just have a quick exercise. I want you to think about one person. And he's a super professional, whatever professional is. Delivers on time, is kind to his colleagues, he's never late, super reliable, his skills are top notch. So I want you to say if you have a positive or a negative image of him. Positive? Anyone says negative?
I don't know that person.
Yeah.
Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. Second person. Sometimes he's late. You kind of think that he's doing some drugs. He wakes up one day fully naked around Spain in can't even remember what he did, but probably was lodging or something. But he's naked, he's alone from his colleagues. What's your image of him?
I like it.
As a professional, if you need to hire, so this one we can say that professionally, whatever that means, it's negative, right? Because sometimes he's late, sometimes he's alerta, he's like here. Sometimes he doesn't speak much because he's tired.
But is the work they do good?
Yeah, most of the
Is
time.
it occasionally brilliant?
Sometimes he fucks up, but yeah, most of the time.
That's okay.
So if you had to hire one, which one would you hire?
The one that excels the most. The one that excels most.
So the positive one. Yeah. Interesting. What if they are the same person?
Well, how can one be on time all the time and the other one's late?
Sorry?
How can one be on time all the time and the other one's late? I totally get there's different dualities to people, right?
That's a nice one. That's good.
But I get your point, right? Like, you can't judge someone in a social context how they will behave professionally. And I completely agree with that. Because people make decisions and judgments in the wrong way, in the wrong context, and extrapolate a data point which isn't legitimate. So that, I agree with you.
Thank you. That's. I mean, I couldn't have said it. That's it. So one day I had to hire a developer, a Ruby guy. I have two guys. One already knew Ruby on Rails. He had some projects up there. The other one said, I have no idea what Ruby is. I know it's a web technology. I do COBOL. Okay? But I can tell you this. This is what I want to do for my life. I want to do it with you, and I'm going to do it really well. I hired the second one. Best decision of my life. Because you learn a technology in what, a week? You start, coding some stuff. So back to this. This is the same person. That was me around 2009. I knew it. I would have hired myself. So the thing that changed me the most and had the most profound impact is something called the 4 agreements. And I had this, friction with the 2 people recently. And suddenly I had to stop, come back to here. And nowadays everything is solved and working perfectly. The 4 agreements are incredibly hard to put in practice. If you think about it, being impeccable with your words, say only what you mean. Speak with integrity. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. Okay? Don't take anything personally. We have this written on the wall at Fiel. It's the guy that goes on the streets and says, "What a lovely piece of ass." Who's he talking to? I don't know his background. Maybe in his country or religion. That's a very nice compliment. That's normal. Americans voted for Trump.
It's true.
Just remember something. When there is communication, there's only 2 types. When someone screams or with empathy. So when someone screams, it's a cry for help. Keep this in your head. The next time someone screams, check if underneath it's not a cry for help. Don't make assumptions. The hardest one. If you don't know something, just ask me. Right? This looks really simple, right? Just try putting them in practice every
Always when you
single
don't know
day.
that you don't know.
Yeah. And always do your best can vary. One thing to close, the session ends here. when I had that conflict and I went to the 4 agreements, the one thing that sparked on my mind is I'm judging them. Because these were people with different backgrounds that I have, different mindsets, different values, very different values. And I was judging them. I was like, why the fuck are these, sales guys just, And that's not right. Because guess what? They're very good at what they do. Okay? So not judging someone, if you can do it 100% of the time, congratulations. Okay? I guess that's it. Thank you very much.